And with that, we come to the third pitch. That's Valts Mura. I'm sorry for completely mispronouncing your name. Maybe you want to correct me, but we're now listening to you. Welcome on stage.
Okay. That was actually quite good. Very untypical from in a foreign setting. Yeah. Grüezi, hallo, servus. That's all the German greetings I know. What I'm here to talk about, firstly, I'm Valts Mura from ITS Latvia, but I wanted to today talk about something that's a little bit bigger than small Latvia, that we're doing together with our Baltic colleagues, with the Estonians and the Lithuanians, which we are calling the Baltic Mobility Collaborative, or the BMC, and in the presentation I will use the word BMC more often. And the idea was born out of how can we more closely cooperate to enable cooperation in this very small part of Europe. If I can, yes. So many of you may know about this project, Rail Baltica. Now, I don't personally represent Rail Baltica, but within the context of BMC, we are working together with them. And if you see there, the general idea of the project is to finally connect the Baltic states together to the rest of Europe with the standard gauge railway network. But another thing that it does is not only connection to Europe, but connection between the three Baltic countries, which currently, even though we have quite similar history, is a little bit lacking. And I think it's a relevant topic, not just for us, why I'm speaking about this here, because I think there are some aspects of this that you can also see within your own countries, within your own cross-border regions. And with this idea, we created, between ITS Latvia, ITS Estonia, and the Transport Innovation Forum, the three ITS organizations of the Baltic states. This year we created basically the BMC, with the idea of creating this unified mobility system in the Baltics and connecting the relevant stakeholders. Similar to what Donald is doing on a more macro scale, we are trying to do this in a more micro scale, which is also very important. Sort of generally speaking, it's maybe a little bit complicated slide because it was created by our American friends and they like to make very complicated slides. But the general idea of what we are trying to do is through our cooperation with the three Baltic states, which in your mind may be a small portion, but if we actually look at the European context, 27 members, 3 countries, that's already more than 10% of the EU bloc in one small part. So by enabling this cooperation, we think we can reinforce the ideals of the European single market, which we know in the past everyone was by themselves. Now we realize in the current geopolitical times, in every single industry you look at, transport being chief of them, we have to look at how we can more closely cooperate within the European context. And through this model, we want to, obviously, it's relatively inspired by the Nordic countries, which have a similar thing in a different field. But this idea of when we come together and we have this already 3 countries that have this well-oiled engine of working together, we can be a lot more successful in acquiring different funding streams. And that's what we are trying to do this year, which I'll speak about some of the projects that we've applied for and the general idea behind them a little bit later. But the general sort of focus of why we are doing this is to improve the passenger mobility experience. That's the first stage, and obviously with mobility now in the current times, as I will say again, it just doesn't have just the passenger component, the freight component, it will also have the military component when we get to it. Actually, I will skip this slide because I'm conscious of the time. An idea here is something that is also maybe quite relevant for everyone that's worked in some way in European projects with different stakeholders. It's a very big struggle to get a project off the board, and it's an even bigger struggle to get a second project that builds on that with the same partners on board as well. Our idea here is the fact that you can only do so much in one specific thing. But if you want to achieve big goals like connecting three Baltic states together, not just in the context of one train connection, but in general, in different mobility connections, you need to do it 1, 2, 3 times in a row. Maybe even more, right? So we're trying to do the approach where we consolidate the partners in the Baltics and then go from there. And now I have an open question, actually, that leads into the problem statement that we're solving in one of the proposals. Is this question, as you can maybe think of it, is how many European railroads can you name that stop and go, and not just go through, but stop in 3 countries? When I was thinking about this, the one that comes to mind is obviously Eurostar, that goes from the UK, France, Belgium, and Netherlands. If anyone can give me 3 more, I will buy them a beer this evening. I checked, there shouldn't really be any of them. But if we look at what we're trying to do in the Baltics, it's exactly that. It's connecting not just 1, 2, 3 countries, but we have Finland up there, we have Poland down there, and after Poland we have Germany, we have Czech Republic, we have Austria, we have Switzerland. So technically speaking, the big scope of the project is to connect it even further than the Baltics, right? But as many of you know, cross-border mobility, especially in rail, very, very tough issue. And the current report from the Organization for Railways in the EU, only 6% of rail journeys are cross-border in general. This hasn't really, even with taking into account Corona, in the last decade, hasn't really moved the needle any which way. It's because there's very high institutional barriers to do that. And it's very hard to do it if you try to do it as everyone together, we work on it together. You need to do it first in a bit of a local way. We have the same problem in Latvia. I chose this example. I really like the first top one. Ulman was the dictator of Latvia in the 30s. So basically the train from Riga to Tallinn currently is slower than it was in the 30s. Maybe you have some similar situation somewhere in maybe not in Switzerland and Austria, probably in Germany. But it's a thing between Riga and Tartu, this train. In Tartu this year they have the cultural capital of Europe, and they still can't get the train to go there just for this 1 year. So through that project, we're trying to, for this project, have a slide missing where it's basically where I talk about how we're solving the problem. I'll tell that afterwards because my time is anyways a bit up. I'll skip this as well, and I'll talk about what we are looking forward to everyone from you. We're looking to cooperate on different projects because obviously we have the Baltic countries, but what always looking for is someone to learn from. So in all of the projects we have Finland, we have the Netherlands, we have also Austrian partners, and we're looking for more advanced and less advanced partners as well to work on this concept together. And enforce what we have from the Baltics also in other places. And this is sort of, it's not just the 3 of us, this is just the 3 heads of the Baltic ITS organizations. I am one of them. Lily is somewhere here. Rugile is in Vilnius, as far as I know. But yes, danke sehr.
Thank you very much. I feel very bad that we squeeze all your great work in just 7 minutes. So we realized that is really an inhuman pressure. The beer is free afterwards, so maybe that's why they didn't out in. But I hope you can discuss afterwards in the session, in the apéro time, and to connect with people here. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Sam.